5:32, I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Booyah.
Okay, we have a lot of housekeeping items we have to take care of here. And I'd have a question of process for you, Maria. Do we have to vote on each one of these?
I think voting might just be the easiest. Some of it like the meeting schedule or the liaisons, if you wanted to perhaps just agree by consensus, but if it's just as easy just to kind of take a motion in a second on all the housekeeping items, it might be easiest to do it that way.
Okay. So the first one is the selection of the chairman for November for the coming year. Unless someone has a dying need or a desire to jump in here and be the chairman, I'm more than happy to do it for another year. If somebody else, if there's anybody else who'd like to jump in, or do we assume silence is consensus?
Yes. I'll also move that you keep it for another year.
Okay. Is there a second? So, is there a second?
Second.
Second for Tom, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, raise your hand. Okay. That takes care of that. Currently, Tom Earl is vice chair. And Tom, would you like to continue doing that for another year?
Whatever the commission wants, I'm open to.
Okay.
So moved.
So moved. A second? I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, good. The sustainability team representative. I am currently the sustainability team representative. And for those of you not aware of what it is, it's a new commission in town, been in place about a year and a half. And we are working with the Connecticut sustainability team. It's a nationwide program that basically looks at communities and based upon an evaluation that you perform, rates you as the ability of the town to be sustainable long-term. So it's much more than things about energy. It's about transportation, infrastructure, how well the community is funded, how well the community has arts programs, recreational programs, good transportation, good quality of schools, kind of a broad thing. So it's kind of fun. Caroline Meckel was doing this, and she had dropped off, so there was an opening, and I stepped in to kind of fill that void. But if there's any interest from anybody else on the team that would like to be the team representative, I'll open that up. Otherwise, I'll continue to do it for another year.
Bob, am I down to continue on the Business Incentive Committee?
It's not here, but I assume that we would like you to continue to do that.
Cool.
Maria?
Yes, yeah, that one's a multiple year appointment. The ones on here tonight are just annual appointments.
Okay. So I'll continue to be the sustainability team representative. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Okay, thanks. Liaison appointments. Currently, Ron Jodas is our liaison to zoning, and I think he's doing a terrific job. Melissa, has he joined yet?
He's not here, no.
Okay. Would like to nominate Ron again for next year. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, good, great. The design review is one that Bill Freeman was participating in on, and when he dropped off the board, I stepped in. And what the design review is all about is this is the group that meets prior to the zoning meeting, and they look at the overall architectural design of proposals coming to the town, make recommendation on the appearance, landscaping issues, overall fit within the town and the other pieces of architecture within the town. It's a very interesting group. You learn a lot. You see what's going on. Does anybody have a desire to be the liaison for the design review? If not, I'll continue to sit on that board. It's my one chance to talk with Mike Glidden on a regular basis. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Sign me up. Okay. Any other boards or liaisons, Maria, that we ought to be thinking about? Is there any
Not
other?
at the moment. Yeah, I think
Okay.
we're all set for the annual housekeeping items.
All right, very good.
Exception of the regular meeting schedule.
Okay, yeah, that was the next item on the agenda. The, in your packet, is the meeting schedules for all of 2021. You know, again, it's the last week of the month, the last Wednesday of the month, right? For every month except for November, which is the 17th, the third Wednesday, and in December, the 15th. I'm fine with this schedule as is. It seems to have worked well over the last couple of years, so I'm fine keeping it going forward. Is there anything else we need to, anybody have any issues or questions about the schedule?
No.
Okay. So do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
So moved, second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have our schedule. Very good, thank you. The next item is the status of filling the EDC vacancy. We had we interviewed 4 outstanding candidates yesterday. They really were, all of them were excellent. And we could only pick one. And the primary criteria that we were looking for is someone who currently is runs a small business here in town. And the individual we end up picking is a woman by the name of Lori Wagner. Charmaine, I don't know if you know Lori, she is a marketing consultant in town, has her own business.
I've heard that name. I don't know her personally.
Okay, so she is from Simsbury originally, but previously did a lot of corporate work down with PepsiCo. In marketing, one of her clients was PepsiCo, and I forget the other one, but down in Fairfield County, and was also involved in the community down in Fairfield County. So she came back here and started up her own business, worked with Sarah and getting things started up. So we have someone who's been through the business or been through the process, if you will, of starting her own business here in Simsbury. And she brings a lot of a good practical experience to the team. And obviously being from Simsbury, she knows the town and what we're looking to do. So she'll be joining us at our next meeting.
Great.
And we'll have a full team going forward for 2021. So excellent candidate. And the good news is that the other 3 that we did interview with, we told them, look for other opportunities in town, but if for whatever reason we have a turnover here in the EDC, we've got some good candidates to backfill like we did with Charmaine, who we liked a lot the first time we interviewed her. So when an opening came up, quickly reached out to her and brought her in. So, we got some good people out there. So I did make a comment afterwards that with the quality of the people that are interviewing, I have no idea why I'm on this board, but it's a good problem to have because it's some really good qualified individuals that live in this town and that have a passion about Simsbury. So we're in good hands. Okay, with that, let's move on to the second item to talk about the business recovery. Sarah, you want to start us off with a quick update and report from Main Street?
Sure. So, as you know, besides this committee, I sit on several other committees, and one of them is the 350th anniversary committee. And so we've done everything from movie nights, the past 2 movie nights, which were amazing at the Performing Arts Center. We helped out with the Spooktacular, which is Morgan, I believe, will talk about, currently doing the Hunt for History. So there's, I think, 35 stops all throughout historical locations in Simsbury. People have to solve clues, they take selfies with them, and then they enter to win prizes. And it's all part of the celebration. And we came up today with, because of the pandemic, obviously, we had a lot of other events planned for this year, but Simsbury is just so great that we needed 2 whole years to actually celebrate, because a lot of the events will be in 2021. I also sit on Simsbury Celebrates, and again, some great news that despite the pandemic, we will be holding Simsbury Celebrates. It will be modified this year for the pandemic, so we will have a reversed fire truck parade. So there'll be the lit fire trucks that will be located all along Iron Horse, and this year, instead of them driving down Hot Meadow, you will drive your cars down Iron Horse and take a look at the fire trucks. We do still have the gingerbread house competition, decorating competition, which is just opened. We have instead of the live performances all along Hot Meadow this year, we're going to have a variety show. So they'll be taped on SCTV and they'll be showing throughout the month of December. And there will be still a spectacular fireworks event. We're just looking at locations right now where we're not going to do it at the Performing Arts Center because we need locations where people can view socially distanced from their car. And so we should have a location within the next week or so. But I just wanted to share some good news on that end, and all of those bring in, interest in people, and it's just great for the quality of life. Main Street has been for the last, I want to say something like 7 or 8 years, has put together a Shop Simsbury campaign. It's a of Black Friday and Small Business Saturday. So we put together a special 2-day shopping event. I got the grant again this year to do this campaign, and it is pandemic friendly because it is spread out over 2 days and over 37 or 38 multiple locations. So what it is we get participating businesses. They agree to sell for everyone that buys a $50 gift card during November 27th and November 28th of this year. They get a $10 bonus. So it's a really fantastic, it's a 20% bonus, whether it's a coupon or a gift certificate or whatever from those participating businesses. Last year, we sold 663 gift cards. That kept $39,780 in Simsbury, and it kept it in Simsbury at a time when most places are not seeing gift card sales. It's the end of November, Black Friday and small business. Black Friday actually traditionally has been very, big retailer, big box. So we've asked and received the chamber. We asked them to participate again this year with us. They said yes. We have a passport program as well, which is a no purchase necessary. You visit you visit 8 participating businesses total. And we have 38 that participate. You visit 8, there's no purchase, you get a sticker. It's fashioned after the 350th anniversary this year, and you enter to win a number of prizes. I think there are 4 prizes. So we anticipate that this should be a great showing. Because of the pandemic, we've also made it available online this year. So it'll be on shopsimsbury.com/gift card sales, and we'll be selling gift cards for people that are either high risk or don't want to go out. You can purchase up to 4 gift certificates per store per location. And we have amazing stores. Fitzgerald's and Cane's obviously participate, so people that are looking for groceries and catering and what have you. We have tons of great, the Bill Seelig and Sarah Burns and Rich's Jewelers, they all participate, Necker's. But the showstopper has always been the restaurants. So just very quickly, Anna's Kitchen Cafe, Andy's Italian Kitchen, Antonio's Restaurant, Farley Mac's, Harvest Cafe, Iron Horse Pizzeria and Sports Pub, Maple Tree Cafe and the Winged Bear, Meadow Asian Cuisine, Metro Beast, Millwright's Restaurant and Tavern, Peach Wave of Simsbury, Popover Bistro and Bakery, Soma Grill, Table 570, Asian Fusion, The Old Well, are all participating, and there's so many others. So we'll have more information on that. We send out a mailer actually to the entire town of Simsbury. So every resident and every business in Simsbury gets this mailer, and it's made possible by a grant that Main Street gets from the Hartford Foundation. So just, another way to get some much needed cash in the hands of our local businesses during a time when they need it the most. and the participants get a nice bonus. We're still working on grant opportunities. You may have seen that the state has put out, they're using some of their federal money, 50 million of it actually, to put out small grants of $5,000 to it's to businesses, small businesses and nonprofits. So we got that information out. There's some webinars coming up in the next week or so about how to apply and who's going to be eligible. And I believe the November 9th, the actual application should come out. So that's been the newest form of funding. Andrew and I both sat through, because I saw him on the screen, we both sat through the Connecticut Main Street Center Pitch Perfect, which talked about a lot of our partners. So it went through places like the Small Business Development Center, SBDC, which Main Street's had a great working relationship with, talked about SCORE, talked about the Community Investment Corp. I mean, lots of these different places that have different resources for our business community. And so just been working hard on a lot of events, grants, you name it.
And keeping everybody running and working. And we're all a little.
I'm sorry. The final thing I'll update is we've had some closures, COVID-related closures, and my secretary, Melissa Brett, who is actually a property owner and the owner of Weldon Hardware, will be putting out an email shortly to the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Finance. I've asked her to CC the EDC, but very briefly, we've had some COVID closures. David Richmond's building has seen 5 vacancies due to COVID. It was a combination of people choosing not to renew their lease, as well as people that had just decided they would close because of COVID. Unfortunately, shortly after, he also had a catastrophic flood. So he has been working, ServPro's been working kind of round the clock, and we've been working to see if there's anything we can do for him. It was the worst flood in his history of owning a building. So, trying to reach out to David, and he doesn't need anything yet except Xanax, he says. But, working through that. Storyteller's Cottage, as you may know, did close because of COVID. The American Girl, the Girl at Heart, which is the consignment, closed in Simsbury Town Shops. And then also the Artists in Motion, which is the dance studio, closed in the Weldon building. But we do have a new tenant coming in, which is the bar / chiropractic office. They're going to be opening up shortly in that building. We do have, I can tell you now, that the coffee spot will be opening where in the Victorian House where the Storyteller's Cottage was. And we do have a restaurant, although I'm not sure they've closed, so I'm not permitted to say, but we do have a restaurant that should be opening up in the old Sakimura spot very shortly. So we're seeing a flurry of closures. We are seeing some opening. And then what is public knowledge is, although they have not closed, and I want to be very careful in saying this, 3 properties from the Drake Hill Mall have been listed on LoopNet and are being shown, which is Anna's Kitchen Cafe, Peach Wave, and then there's also an office space. So they are not closing, but the landlord is currently showing their spaces, and it is public knowledge.
Okay. Wow. Thank you. Morgan, an update from the chamber?
Yes, thank you. So we've finally sent back the sculptures to their original home in California. So that ended October 5th, and our art trail closing ceremony was on the 6th. It was a very, very successful art trail this year. I think, especially due to COVID, it really encouraged people to get out of their homes. And we've spoke about this before. It was just such a fantastic opportunity and a safe opportunity for people to spend time together outdoors and enjoy the town and everything that we have to offer. So that went really, really well. The closing ceremony was fantastic. We had it over at the Performing Arts Center, and people were socially distanced. Fitzgerald catered the food, and it was a really, really beautiful event. So we really appreciate everybody that was able to come out for that. And we're still getting calls asking where the sculptures are. So people are very excited to have them return. And I think, this year we were much more careful than in prior year in terms of budgeting and making sure that expenses were covered and so on and so forth. So I do think it's an event that will be returning, whether it's these sculptures or perhaps another type of art exhibit. I think that the area is very receptive. The community is very open to it. And I think it's, we've got a great town for that type of experience, and it pulls in so many visitors. So why not? So we'll look to do that. It might not be this coming year. We might skip a year again, but we'll definitely be doing something around that soon. We also had the Spooktacular event, which was a very complicated event, trying to plan a Halloween community celebration with all of the rules and regulations to make sure people were safe and they felt comfortable, but yet still have, provide everyone with the experience that they were looking for. And I think we pulled it off. I think it was absolutely fantastic, a success across the board. Thank you so much to those that have participated as volunteers. Bob, Holly, amazing. And we had sold out. So we had 360 families. Wow. We had Simsbury, had first come, first serve. And then a week before the event, we opened it up to surrounding towns as well, which people were very, very grateful for. And I'm glad that we had the opportunity to do that, because we had so many people reaching out that wanted to participate, but didn't have the Simsbury address. So it was nice that we gave, the families directly in Simsbury that first chance, but then we were able to open it up. So we had 360 families and about 1,500 people at the Performing Arts Center throughout the day. And just a reminder of what that event entailed, we closed down Iron Horse Boulevard, and we had cars that were scheduled in one of 3 groups. So we basically repeated the event 3 times throughout the day so that we could keep the number of people on the field to the appropriate limit. We didn't want to exceed 500 at any given time. So we had 120 cars come down Iron Horse Boulevard. We had 25 chamber member vendors, and the cars were fantastic. People really took advantage of the opportunity to get in the Halloween spirit, and they were in costume. Many chose to dress the car up as well, decorate the car, and we were giving away prizes for contests, for most creative car and best costumes as well. And so they would drive down at a very slow pace, and we had a pace car driven by Ron Houston, and that was a donated golf cart by the Performing Arts Center. So the cars slowly drove down Iron Horse Boulevard and collected candy, promotional material, exchanged information, business cards, and the vendors were just ecstatic. They expressed that they had not had exposure to so many local families at any given event in a long time, if ever. So they were thrilled, and they're really looking forward to participating next year. Once the families completed the drive-through trick-or-treat route, they pulled into the Performing Arts Center and parked and set up in a socially distant circle on the field. On the right side of the field, we had a variety of food trucks. So we had La Mesa, we had Frankie's, Grillin' and Groovin', Fatty's Donuts, Mountain Dairy. And then on the Iron Horse Boulevard side of the field, we had Moonlight Pub, which was manned by the Performing Arts Center. And we had a variety of socially distant games. So the games were very safe for the kids. We had, an amazing level of participation. We were sort of unsure whether families would be comfortable doing, those types of games, and, even if they were contactless. But all of the kids participated. We ran out of candy somehow. I thought I purchased an exorbitant amount, but we still ran out. And we had toys available. So it was just absolutely fantastic. School of Rock had student bands perform 90 minutes for each of the 3 groups. So we had 3 separate student bands perform, and they blew everyone away. It was absolutely amazing performances, incredibly entertaining. The volunteers, as I mentioned, were great. So all in all, I don't think we could have asked for a better event. The participation from the town was hugely appreciated. Simsbury Main Street, I know, helped with the 350th committee, who also partnered with us, and then the Performing Arts Center as well. So we're looking forward to building on this event in following years, and I think the committee, or rather community, is excited for that also. Does anybody have any feedback that was able to attend?
I know that my wife and I, we've volunteered. We heard so many comments from the people in the cars about, thanks so much for doing this. This is the one normal thing a sense of normalcy, if you will, in a crazy time that we're all experiencing, and to be able to do it and have their kids participate. They were very grateful, and it was very nice to hear. And they seemed to be, really having a great time. So we really enjoyed it, and we were glad we were able to volunteer and help out in any way we could. But I thought it was just a huge success, and I think the community was very much appreciative of the effort that it took to pull it all together, because there's a lot of logistical issues and challenges associated with this. So the work you did was really terrific and much appreciated.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully next year we won't have quite so many rules and regulations to abide by, and we can simplify the event a little bit, because there were a lot of moving parts, but thanks to volunteers, we were able to pull it off. And that's the feeling I got from the families as well, just appreciative. It was funny, as seeing children run around in costumes on a field would have been normal to everyone prior to this year. But seeing that this year, it's like, wow, I don't think I've seen children run together in, a year. So this, really the simple joys that we've all forgotten about, they were able to experience again in a safe way. So I think it was really beautiful just to be able to see that and be a part of it. In terms of everything else we have going on, we're in close contact with all of our businesses. We're, helping them promote all of their events. We've got businesses that have done trunk or treat events, coat drives, webinars, lectures. We're working on helping businesses collaborate with one another. It's extremely important right now for them to stay resilient and creative. They need to find ways to stay relevant, whether it's social media or other ways of collaborating with other organizations. Something else I'm focusing the chamber on is I think it's very important for chambers of commerce to be really strong in terms of supporting other local nonprofits. So the volunteer-based nonprofits that really provide community enrichment for the areas that we all do business in, I think are so important. So in my opinion, chambers shouldn't be just for-profit businesses. It should also be in support of those nonprofits. So we've been working hard to connect with those local nonprofits like For All Ages, and helping our for-profit businesses partner with them on a variety of events. It just increases everyone's visibility, exposure, and helps them become more successful across the board. So it's a really mutually beneficial relationship. We've also been working with our members in understanding what, as best we can, what to expect for the colder months. Obviously, the restaurants and a lot of other industries are very nervous for what that's going to look like. So we've been working on ways that we can keep them visible and what they can do, again, thinking of creative ways, thinking outside the box of how they can still provide the products, services, et cetera, that they are looking to do when winter does hit. So we've just been trying to help the members, stay calm, show them the support in any way, shape, or form that we can, and make sure that we all get through this together. So I think that's pretty much all we've got going on. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
And we're planning hard for next year. We've got a lot of things coming up, especially for spring. And we're tentatively keeping them on the schedule and moving ahead as planned. But obviously, we're always going to have a plan B in case things are still shut down and there are still, crowd rules and restrictions. So we'll have to, like everyone, just adapt and see what can be done at the time.
Yep. Stay flexible. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. Terrific. Both of you, Main Street and the Chamber. You have a lot of programs going on, but just, and I'm the business owners, I'm sure, are very, very appreciative, but because what they're going through right now is, very, very challenging for them. So the work that you're doing, I know, is much appreciated, and the way the town has responded to our local businesses has been great. And hopefully we can minimize the closures, because I know the next 6 months are going to be very, very hard. So everybody's going to have to do what they can to help everybody else out. Sherm, you want a quick update on the library?
So we are open again. We have had really good compliance with our rules as far as mask and social distancing and that. The compliments have been constant. Just, oh my God, I'm so glad the library is open again.
Mhm.
Folks have been in, they've seen all the work we've done with the recarpets and the paint and the collection reorganization. We've received a lot of compliments on that. As far as the Business Career Center, I have not had a lot of inquiries lately from businesses or people seeking unemployment benefits, probably because Congress can't seem to get their act together and get any more relief passed. So a little bit of a struggle there. There may be some inquiries coming now that the PPP loan forgiveness details are starting to get out. So I'm curious to see if we receive any calls for assistance with that. But yeah, we're just so excited the library is open. We're still offering curbside service for the holds. As you can imagine, with the courier service shut down between the libraries because a bunch of libraries were closed, with holds, we exchanged books with other libraries to fill those. So we had quite a queue of those backed up. So we've been working on getting everybody in to pick up their hold books. I had a stack of 10 people come in the library when my turn to do dorm honors, and you're walking in empty-handed and walking out with probably 9-10 books that they've got to get through because they're on hold and people were waiting for them. So we've made a lot of progress there, which we should be wrapping that up here in the next week, and then we'll just be encouraging people to come in during our open hours, which are 10 to 4 Tuesdays and Thursdays, and 9:30 to 1:30 on Saturdays, to be able to pick their books. We are allowing people to browse the shelves, pick out the materials they want. We just encourage folks to try and limit their time in the library to an hour if they can. We have had inquiries about our meeting space being available, which we've told them it's not. We don't know when that space will be available for in-person meetings, but it's been pretty well received. Everybody realizes when the pandemic's going on, our infection rate is climbing again, so folks seem to be very understanding of that.
Terrific. Thanks, Sherm. I would like to bring something to everyone's attention here. It may be of value. We had our sustainability team meeting on Tuesday of this week, and maybe it was last Wednesday, whatever. But the main speaker was a gentleman from the Connecticut sustainability team. And what we discussed for the entire meeting was eligible funding. It's something the community match fund is, it's a dollar for dollar match up to $7,500 for eligible projects that fall within the definition of a sustainable CT. So it's the way the program works is sustainable CT would fund up to $7,500, and the community would contribute another $7,500 through something called crowdfunding funds, which the way I look at it, it's like a GoFundMe page, but it's a GoFundMe page for community activity. And it's managed by a company called Patronicity. And they've done about 90 projects across the state already. But it's a way, if you think about, if there's a small project that you see where we need some funding, and we could, they're being very, very liberal with their definition of what falls under the criteria of sustainable, if you will. But for example, if we need some signage along the bike trail to help us promote our restaurant business in town, and people are looking for something to do, as an example, or someone wants to create a park somewhere and need some funding for that, whatever project that it might be. This may be a way for the town to secure some funding to get some things going. The question I asked was, many times in the community, you have a project that has a phase 1, a phase 2, a phase 3, if you will. Could we potentially get $15,000 for each phase? And the answer was yes. It's a philanthropic organization. Sustainable CT is a philanthropic organization. It's a nationwide program, so they have very deep pockets. They are looking to fund projects that would help communities with their sustainability efforts. I just want to make everybody aware of it. If you've got some ideas that you think might fall under this category, give me a call and let's see what we can do. But I'm all in favor of using free funding if someone else is willing to give it to us. So what I wanted to do today was just make everybody aware that that program is available, and to the extent that the town can take advantage of it, I think we should. So, okay, with that, the next item on our agenda is the EDC work plan and brainstorming. In your packet is the existing EDC work plan. We'll go through each one of these work streams for updates in just a minute. A couple of things here on this work plan. One is we're really not doing anything for the Simsbury 350, assist in promoting 350 anniversary events. It's been impacted by the COVID-19. I know, Sarah, you talked a lot about it earlier. Is there anything we can be doing from an EDC perspective to help with any of those activities?
So really just promoting the upcoming things. So one of the things that besides Simsbury Celebrates, one of the things that 350 has really been focused on is we're going to be doing skate nights. So I don't have all the details yet, but I think it's going to be like $3.50 skate nights at the Simsbury Farms. So we've been working on, again, during the winter, trying to keep people safe, but getting them outdoors and exploring Simsbury. And the farms, as Bob and I both know, is such a treasure. It's such an amazing part of Simsbury. So really just helping to promote the events that are already planned.
Okay.
And then we'll have more, coming up for 2021. We have River Day, and we do have a gala planned, and we have a Heritage Day. So those will all be coming up, but we do have some stuff still to finish out the year. So really just promoting that, because I think we're set with all the events.
Okay. Thank you for that. The other item I didn't see on the work plan was the work that we've just begun to assign individuals to projects. I think, Mike, you've identified something that is a good candidate for us, and Tom Earl is going to start working on that or start participating in the meetings. Have we initiated that?
Yeah, we were talking, somehow our lines got crossed. That application actually been approved by the commission already. However, they may be coming back for a modification. So, but I may have something else on the horizon for the next person that's interested.
Okay, so we have Tom engaged, and Tom's going to follow that one through.
Yeah, Mike sent me the some renderings of the project. So, and he said he might be going back and trying to get it all in Simsbury instead of both Simsbury and Canton.
Yeah, there's discussion that the location of the car dealership may change.
Oh,
So that may be coming back to our commission.
So I'll wait to hear from Mike, the next step when it happens.
Yep.
okay. And so you may have a second.
I may have exactly. I may have something else on the horizon.
Okay.
So whomever is interested, I'll reach out to them.
Would someone like to volunteer?
Yeah, this is Peter. If I can do something.
All right, you're enlisted now, Peter.
Okay. It's like the Army, Peter. You just signed up.
No pun intended.
Okay, so I'm not sure what we call this, but I'd like to add it to the list. If Tom Fitzgerald's on a call, or Maria.
Would you think it's like a shadowing program?
Yes, why don't we call it that, the shadowing program? It's part of business outreach, I guess. It will be, a shadow for while we're working through all the approval process. But once the company goes live, if you will, we want to start to maintain that relationship with that business going forward. So maybe it falls under business outreach, and we can put it under that category and call it the shadowing program. That'd be my recommendation. Are there any other ideas, any new ideas that people have, or anything else we want to, before we jump into the next, just going through the updates on this? Is there other opportunities? Maria, have you been advised by the board of anything?
So they just met on Monday evening, just to do an initial look at the current work plan that they had adopted for you all. And their thought was, before assigning you, a lot of new tasks, to let you work through the existing assignments, but they were really also very much interested in hearing any new ideas that members might have, or items that you might like to officially add to your work plan for the upcoming year. So definitely, if there's feedback from this group, we will bring it back to the Board of Selectmen. Under
Okay.
the ordinance, they just need to adopt a work plan for you all before the end of November. So we still have some time to kind of work on this, finalize, finalize the work plan, but they were definitely, very much willing to hear if you all had some you would like to add. And, the one I would say probably that makes sense for us to just take off the list, I think, given, sort of this marketing idea with the 350 events and just with it being impacted by COVID, unless Sarah, you disagree, I'm not really sure if I necessarily see a role for EDC in terms of the marketing for that, since the 350 committee did end up developing its own marketing subcommittee. But if you think that there's a role for the EDC to assist with marketing, we could keep it on. I'm just wondering if it might not be as relevant since they developed their own subcommittee on it.
Yeah, no, I think I meant more, I guess maybe personally, just get, the more people we have pushing out the events and the information.
Right. Yeah.
But I do agree. I mean, again, the 350th committee as a whole, as you know, has stopped meeting, but the marketing committee, because we're like a subset, we meet every single week. We're still doing so much. So I do agree. I don't want to take away from we have a whole social media and everything, but if, the more, and we'll be asking the Board of Selectmen as well, kind of personally, to just keep pushing the word out and letting people know. But I don't disagree with you, Maria.
Okay, so we could probably take that one off for this list.
Okay.
Well, one thing, if I can jump in, Maria, we had that great meeting, was it this week or the week before, with Dino Nobel, and out of that, we got some to-do items that, quite honestly, I was surprised at. I thought we'd get more angst over taxes and all that, and we really got some critical mundane issues which are valid. I mean, the power issue, the traffic issue. Yeah. How do we ensure that stuff is incorporated into what the Board of Selectmen require us to do?
Yeah, I think it's covered under the business outreach category with conducting the business outreach visits, collecting and tracking feedback. So I think those types of meetings that we're having and the follow-up items, I think would fall under that category fairly well.
Cool. That makes a lot more sense.
Okay. And then, Bob, it might also just be a good opportunity. I know that this was sort of, from last fall in terms of EDC members who had an interest in various topics. And so this might also be a good opportunity, if folks have an interest in maybe trying something new or changing up their assignments, or if everybody's kind of happy working on what they're working on. And just another quick note as well, the business incentives policy. Everybody's done such a great job on that. And I think we're really close to the home stretch. And again, I think we'll have a draft to the Board of Selectmen in November. So it's very possible that item may not need to carry forward to the next year. But we'll see how things go. Like I say, I have a very, very good feeling that will get wrapped up in November.
Okay. Okay. All right. So with that, why don't we just move into our work plan updates? Maria just provided an update on the business incentive policy. I think our next step is to present it to the board in November, and if they approve it, we're pretty much done. But thanks to Tom and Peter for their work on that. I think they've done a terrific job, and I think it's in a excellent shape right now. Peter, quick update on co-working spaces. There you go on mute. Peter, you there?
Looks like he left the chat.
Yeah, we might have lost him because he's not there anymore.
Yeah, I don't see him on the participants list.
Okay. Morgan, do you have an update? I know you and Peter were talking. I don't know if you've.
Yeah,
I go ahead.
I don't have too much of an update, to be honest. We had been speaking about it, and I think we were on to a really great track with it. And he had some fantastic ideas, and I provided my experience and feedback relative to that. So for the next step, I sort of fell off the bandwagon a little bit with everything we had going on in October. But I'd love to get back on that, touch base with him again, and make sure that that's pushed ahead forward. So
Okay, great.
I can touch base with him, and we'll have a better update for you next time.
Okay, so I thought my understanding was the next step was try to reach out to some existing property managers that we think might have an interest in pursuing that. So, I mean, does that seem reasonable as a next step?
Yes, I've reached out to a few. I just have not had the time to really complete that step. So
Okay,
I'll be
great.
getting back to that now that Spectacular
Okay.
is over.
We can help because we already have 3 identified property owners that have potential co-working spaces as well.
Okay, good,
Great.
great. Okay, and business outreach, we have reinstituted our meetings with our largest customers, if you will, stakeholders in town. October 13th, we did have a meeting with Chris Nelson from Highcroft, which I thought was a very productive meeting. In addition to his development work at Carson Way and the apartment complex at Highcroft, they're also looking at potentially developing a new apartment complex next to the Meadows, where the Simscroft architectural landscaping firm used to be. And I know they've been in front of the zoning and design review boards. So that's a pretty exciting venture. The other thing we spent a lot of time talking about, I did not know this until the call, was he's a 50% owner of Millwrights. And the issues and challenges that he and Tyler Anderson are going through there, and the creativity that Tyler is exhibiting with all the different varieties of different ways to serve people in the COVID environment was really, really quite fascinating. I think just a great example of the flexibility the restaurant owners are trying to do to make this thing work. And at the same time, the town embracing the creativity and supporting them. So he was very complimentary on both ends of that. And then on the 22nd, the team at Dino Nobel and Maria and Peter were participating in that call with several others. The next one is actually tomorrow, right, at Mitchell's. And I'm not sure who's going to be participating in that.
I'm in that.
You're in that one? Okay. Anybody else? Obviously, Maria, you're in that one. What I wanted to ask, I'd still to come, I got to know from Tom Fitzgerald this morning, EBAD, Simsbury Square, Simsbury Town Shops in McLean. He's trying to get meetings set up with Microsemi and Hoffman, and I think he's struggling a little bit trying to get those things set up. But I know we've discussed this previously, but does everybody here on the EDC who wanted to participate in these calls, do we know who you are, and are you signed up for the proper stakeholder meetings? If you haven't signed up and you want to be on a call, let us know. Get in touch with Tom or Maria. And I know Charmaine in particular has got some good existing relationships with a number of these people. So it's important to have her on the call.
I don't think I'm signed up for any of them. So I'll have to get the dates again. I must have missed it.
Okay. So check with Tom Fitzgerald, and he's organizing all that to make sure you get on those calls. And then we'll see where it goes after we get everything all set up. The other thing that we were trying to do with the business outreach, and this is from the last meeting, was Maria gave me a to-do to start to, like we did with the roundtables, kind of reach out to the next tier of clients, if you will. And I will admit I haven't done much on this yet, partially because I got busy, but the other part was kind of struggling with thinking about how we do it. And what I'd like to propose is when I worked with Lisa Gray from the chamber, she gave me a list of all the businesses that were in town that were members of the chamber. And there were like 200 different businesses associated with all that. So it's quite large. And to try to divide and conquer on that is just, it's too overwhelming. But if I could kind of make that list available to everybody, and my thought was, if everybody could say, you know what, I shop at these 3 or 4 businesses on a regular basis, and kind of put an asterisk next to them, yep, I'd like to call on them, and kind of put an assignment together that says, okay, over the next 3 to 4 months, reach out to these 3 to 4 businesses, make a formal call to the owner, and just have a conversation with them. You know, how is business going? How is the town responding? What do you like about doing business in Simsbury? What do you think we could do better? What changes would you like to see? Just engage them in them. But, you know, allow you to kind of pick and choose on your own based upon your own personal interest and where you shop as a way to do that. Does that make sense? Is that something you think is worthwhile and something we could do?
I think it's a good idea, Bob. I'd certainly be willing to do that.
Okay, Morgan, do you have an updated list, or can you share with me the current list from the chamber?
Absolutely. We have quite a few more than 260, I believe you said. We have about 360 now. So
okay.
Yeah, so we might want to assign a couple more than 4 per person,
Okay.
but I'll get that list over to you.
Okay, and maybe we start with 4, and then we just, you know, keep working it over the next year or so, and just see how it goes.
Sure.
But we'll get the list out to everybody and have you all take a look at it. And those that you visit on a regular basis, shop at on a regular basis, you know, we'll work through that and make sure everybody's assigned a client to cover, and we'll give you a list of questions to ask, and just, you know, start reporting it on a regular basis. Okay, so that'll be like the second tier of businesses. We've got the formal one going with our top 11 stakeholders, and this will allow us then to go back and continue to talk to our businesses kind of at that second tier. Okay, quick update on marketing. Charmaine and Brooke.
Sarah's still on the line, or did she get offline?
I'm on.
Okay, well, Sarah's got more of the update than I do, because we did have a meeting, but Sarah's in contact with Jeff Dornberg because he's the one revising the plan. So
I first want to thank Brooke and Charmaine. We had a great Zoom meeting, and they provided some really good feedback as to, you know, what the contract should hold, including really, we want to make sure that everything that is produced now is pandemic friendly. Meaning that a lot of stuff that's produced will be able to be accessible through either QR codes or online or what have you. And it also cuts down on the printing cost because it's a very small budget. So I shared with Maria that we should have a contract for her to look at probably early next week at the latest. And so for her to look at and provide feedback and what have you. And again, we've had to shift a little because of COVID. So we're talking with Jeff about, we're really going to reach out to a lot of residents through a very quick survey to get as much response and as many diverse voices responding as possible. And then we're going to have some really more in-depth focus groups with the realtors, places that see a ton of guests like the Riverview, the Simsbury Inn, the 1820 House, the places that see a lot of tourists. And, you know, between that perspective and then also, you know, different commissions and organizations, we should have a very well-rounded view on what is appealing to people about Simsbury right now, 2020. And then we'll have some new photos. Again, you know, really it's a way to market Simsbury. Since we did this more than 10 years ago now, we have, as you mentioned, Bob, Millwrights, Carson Way. I mean, we have Dorset Crossing. We have so many different properties now that we didn't have 10 years ago. So we have a really diverse story to tell, and we have a very interesting story to tell that's actually very different from when the Hartford was still here. And so that's what we're really going to focus on, and Dornenberg is going to focus on, is the new story and really appealing to why people choose Simsbury, the quality of life issues, which are also economic development. And so I think it's going to be great. It's a piece that will be used by, or can be used by, realtors, schools, the town, business owners. So it's going to be one great piece that covers a lot of very diverse issues. Tourism will be a huge factor, as it was in the last piece. We had an entire piece on tourism. And it's not just about tourists that are new to the area, but it's about the residents really exploring the best of what Simsbury has to offer. There's still so many residents that say, I didn't know there were this, I didn't know there was this, I didn't realize there was that. So it's also the residents as tourists as well.
Right. And the ownership of the content itself would reside with the town, so that we could also repopulate that on our website and make it multi media, if you will.
Yes, so DKA has done tons of work in the community. He also pro bono, Charmaine and I both sat, I was actually the staff, but Charmaine sat on the economic development task force. And he did their website pro bono, which, as Charmaine and I sat through grueling countless meetings, was not an easy feat. So he's very well versed in everything, including the redone town website. The material and content, I think, in the beginning, Main Street owned it because it was our grant. I anticipate there'll be some sort of co-ownership or whatever, but it's going to be used. Anybody that participates in town that wants to use it will be able to use the materials.
Great.
And plus,
I was going to say, the key there is that we have a consistent messaging, whether I'm talking to a real estate agent, whether I'm talking to tourism, whether I'm talking to the town manager, whether I'm, that's what by owning the content and then distributing it across multiple media.
The chamber used it. I mean, it was the major reason that we were listed on CNN Money Magazine's number 9th best place to live. It wasn't a coincidence that we started that campaign and we let everybody use it. And we had one voice nationally. And that's what happened less than 2 years later. So it wasn't a coincidence. We'd never made the list before that.
Yeah, right. Great. Terrific. Thanks.
and if I could just add, not only is Jeff great to work with, but I've worked in advertising for well over 30 years nonstop, and there's all kinds of different people in advertising, and he's very good at what he does. But on top of that, he lives in Simsbury. So, a lot of times you're working with a creative group or whatever, and they do the best they can. But he lives here, so he really gets it. And, he's not charging what he would probably normally charge. Plus he lives here in the community. So it's a whole lot easier for him to put something together that's really consistent because he gets Simsbury's a little bit different. It's not Manchester. So,
That's
he
true.
gets it,
Yeah. That's important. That's very, very important.
Really important.
Yep.
Because our government in the state of Connecticut continually gives over their tourism account to people from New York or wherever. A lot of times New York agencies, and I don't think I actually worked on the tourism piece of business years and years ago when it was a Connecticut company, but they may do great creative, but I think they miss the boat sometimes about what Connecticut's about because they're New Yorkers. So they just can't get it. But anyway, I'm really confident Jeff will do a great job, and Sarah and I will look at it anyway and make sure.
Great.
Got it.
Brooke, anything more to add?
No, I think they covered it nicely.
Okay, very good. I want to give you the opportunity to get your 2 cents in.
Thanks.
Okay. By the way, Brooke participated in the Spooktacular, and she has an adorable baby child there. That's all I can say. It was fun to see her. Okay. Next item on the agenda is to review the minutes. Anything else on projects that people want to cover or discuss? Okay. So last item on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes from our last meeting, which was on September 23rd. They were in your packet. Does everybody have a chance to review them? And if so, any changes or edits, or does it all look pretty good? If so, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I vote to approve them.
Okay, we have a second. Tom's
Second, Charmaine?
Charmaine second. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
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 Okay, Melissa, the minutes are approved. All right. Anything else before we adjourn?
One final thing, Bob, I want to mention. So we've had an outdoor dining committee that has worked throughout the entire process of COVID. And I want to just mention that. So we actually had to meet on site. And there's 5 of us. So it's myself, it's Mike Glidden, it's either Jason Brown or Jennifer Kutanis from the Health District, Patrick Torville from the Fire Department, and Henry Miga and or Dwight from the Building Department. And so, as you mentioned, Chris Nelson, we were able to meet on site to approve Tyler's greenhouses in theory and give him some great information and get going so that, all of the safety and security measures were put in place and we didn't waste his time or his money. And then we met on site at Meadow Asian to approve the kind of 3 plastic clear bubbles that people might have seen for Meadow Asian cuisine.
Yep.
And just a reminder to any restaurants that may be listening, and I put it out via email, but to make sure, there's a process and they can contact myself or Mike as they always do. If you're thinking about putting something up, we worked originally with Pam from Popovers because as the tent wants sides and heating, there are new elements, there's new safety and security measures. So we're as responsive and quick as can be to get them to the result that they need while still keeping the community safe and secure. And Main Street, as we've always done, will be doing, I think it's going to be like our 15th iteration of all the restaurants in Simsbury. There's 37 or 38 total, whether they're doing outdoor dining, curbside, et cetera, as we get towards Thanksgiving, whether they're, that they have special meals like Harvest Cafe. And so we'll be putting out another iteration where we represent and talk about all of the Simsbury restaurants and what they're doing. And I'll make sure to share that with the EDC again.
Great, thank you very much. The next 6 months are going to be critical. And to the extent that we continue to support our restaurants, our local businesses like we have, we just need to do more. So people helping people, that's what it's all about. Okay, anything else before we do I have a motion to meeting adjournment? Tom, you want to?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. A second?
Second.
Second.